political analyst Ronnie Chatah joins us now to discuss this. Ronnie, hi, good to see you. Just talk to us about the significance of this first step, or this step, the armed Palestinian group in Lebanon turning in its weapons. Washington has hailed this as a historic step, but what does it mean exactly?
It is historic in that it's the first time since the Cairo Agreement of 1969 where Palestinian armed groups were legitimized, in particular Fatah, in the country. It's the first time that you have the Lebanese state taking weapons from a Palestinian camp. But I'll nuance this. It is a negotiated deal. It is a deal that is not completely fulfilled. It's not all the weapons from that camp. This is the first step, and it's a baby step in that the Lebanese army and the Palestinian armed groups, and you mentioned it earlier and you're right, there is a deal with Mahmoud Abbas and Fatah, not with other Palestinian armed groups. But that said, it is historic and it's symbolic, but we're not there. We're not there in terms of what the Lebanese government has set out for itself, which is the disarmament of all sub-state groups, including Hezbollah. It's the first step. It's an important step. It's winding down the 1969 Cairo Agreement, but it's not the sovereignty and independence of Lebanon.
And you say it is a baby step. What needs to happen for more groups to disarm?
That's a good question. I think there is a path that's now provided in that long-term negotiations can produce peaceful outcomes when it comes to disarmament. This was a very seamless step, no shots fired. If anything, it's quite remarkable at how quiet and peaceful today's event was. That is a path that should be explored further with other groups, but it's hard to see how this can happen when other groups, and in particular, Hezbollah's sponsor, which is Iran, it's hard to see how this materializes without their endorsement. I'll add to that, the Lebanese government has set a deadline for all sub-state groups to be disarmed by the Lebanese army. That's the end of the year. And actually, days from now, a proposal has to be sent by the army to the government on how to effectively do this. Personally, I don't see it happening as seamless as today, but I think negotiations are essential. What should be avoided at all costs is reckless measures under intense pressure. The pressure is correct. International pressure and international attention is correct in that the Lebanese government should do this, but not in a reckless way that provokes violence. The Lebanese army cannot be seen as killing its own citizens. If that were to happen, I think we'd be back into the darker years of Lebanese civil war. We should not be there, but we have to find a way to disarm all groups, not just one camp with some weapons. This is where I have some reservation.
You say you don't see this happening by the end of the year. Do you mean the other groups or all of them, including Hezbollah? And what incentive, what pressure is there for them to disarm?
The pressure, I think, has to come with some type of engagement with Iran. And I'll start there before I go back to other Palestinian groups and camps. Engagement with Iran, if it's not by the Lebanese, it has to be done regionally, led by the Americans. Iran has to be given a chance to explore an alternative to what it lost in Lebanon. Hezbollah was its crown jewel. Hezbollah infrastructure was essential to Iran's regime survivability. It has lost that. What is now in Lebanon in its place is a degraded, crippled Hezbollah that's more interested in Lebanese affairs than regional affairs. That's good for Lebanon, but bad for Iran. I think engagement is essential. Find what Iran would take in return. And I don't think we're there. Perhaps there's nothing Iran will take in return. But that dialogue has to start. When it comes to other Palestinian armed factions, I'm afraid what we saw today is going to be more cosmetic than actual institutionalized disarmament. I think engagement with Hamas today is difficult. I don't think the Lebanese state can do this seamlessly. And I don't think, and pardon me for saying this, it took 56 years for the Cairo Agreement to begin to unwind. I don't think it'll be within months that the Cairo Agreement is over. And I can't see within months the complete end of Iran and Lebanon. I'm a bit pessimistic with regards to deadlines, but I am optimistic in that the Lebanese state, for the first time since the Cairo Agreement, has taken upon itself to at least try to disarm sub-state groups. That is historic.
On that note, Ronnie, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much, Ronnie Chatah, live there from Beirut. Really appreciate your time and insights.